you had a stroke,
Yeah.
and you lost a lot of mobility again.
Yeah, I could walk, and my speech came back quickly, but my motor skills were just gone, just gone. I just try to draw, and I'd just be talking to myself like, you're a kid and you didn't know any better. Anyway, so I did that a bunch. Didn't have any really breakthrough moments, and I was really starting to get nervous where I was like, wow, I'm gonna have to think about what if I have to rebuild all these skills, and I really started tripping out in my head about that. And then, I don't know, the next day I woke up and I just was thinking about my journey to that point, and I was like, you know what, it's been really fun the whole way. If I have to relearn these skills, F it, I'm gonna do it. I enjoyed it the first time, I'll do it again. And that'll take me to whatever age, and it'll be what it is, And I think once I let go, it's like all the skills came right back.
Hey there, welcome to the Peakality Podcast, your new favorite spot for unlocking the best version of yourself. Ready to level up your life? We've got you. We're all about blending technology with human wisdom and the drive to be better, personally and professionally. Each week we dig into the real stuff, strategies, tools, and mindsets that cut through the noise and help you thrive. No fluff, just practical insights from experts, thought leaders, and people who've been there, done that. And we're here to break it all down into easy steps. Whether you're kicking off a fresh start or a physician seeking to inspire your patients, we've got stories, tips, and tricks to inspire growth in each area of life. Your peak potential's calling, starting right now. Hit subscribe, join our crew, and let's move forward today. Today's conversation is a deeply personal one for me. My guest is Mark T. Smith, an artist, educator, creative executive, and one of the most influential creative minds I have had the privilege of knowing for over 25 years. Mark began his career as a fine artist at the university level instructor at some of the top creative institutions in the country before going to lead growth and strategy for global brands, startups, and Fortune 500 companies. His work has been commissioned by organizations like MTV, Pepsi, Disney, Absolute Vodka, and even Beijing Olympic Games. And his art hangs in the homes of collectors around the world. But this conversation isn't just about success. A few years ago, Mark suffered a stroke that forced him to relearn how to write, how to paint, and in many ways, how to understand himself again. For someone whose identity was deeply tied to creative output, this became an unexpected and profound reckoning. Today, we're talking about creativity as a survival skill, reinvention after loss, leadership through uncertainty, and what it really means to rebuild not just skills, but identity. Mark's story sits at the intersection of art, business, neuroscience, and resilience, and I can't think of a more honest voice to explore what it means to keep creating even when everything changes. Welcome, Mark, to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Very exciting to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
And yeah, we've known each other for a really long time. And
we have.
You have been a great source of inspiration for me on so many different fronts.
Thank you. That's really nice to hear that. Thank you. I
Because
really appreciate our friendship. It's unique.
It is unique, and it's been fun over the years to just see, I think, how we both have grown as people.
Yeah.
I mean, because we met, oh my gosh, almost 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And
almost 25 years.
It's amazing.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, happy anniversary, yes. And that's the thing. I mean, what we've done is we've seen how we've reinvented ourselves over the years. And but I want to talk about you today and how you started, just your career in art.
Okay.
And how that's led into other things. But just let's start from the beginning. How did you always know that you wanted to be an artist? And then how did you really break into the art world when you first started out?
Yeah, yes, the answer to that is yes. I knew I wanted to be an artist from a really young age. That's all I was interested in. I didn't have it wasn't like a kid with hobbies. I just painted and drew all the time. So it felt like a very natural thing to me, still does. And then I think when I made the decision to be an artist, there were two things that happened. One was I was hospitalized for the blood disorder that I have the first time. I was in the hospital for 40 days. I was incapacitated. I wouldn't say like coma-ish, you know, like with pain, because when you're in a lot of pain, they put you on stuff that kind of just knocks you out. So I went through that part, and then I was bedridden for, I don't know, 40 days or something. And when I could finally, I don't know, this is kind of graphic, but when you're bedridden for a long time, it's no fun to poop in a bedpan.
Yeah.
And so eventually you just really want to find a toilet, right?
Yeah.
So one night I was there, I'd been doing like the pull-ups and stuff on the hospital bed. They give you the thing, because your muscles all atrophy and everything.
Yeah.
And I realized I had the strength to make it to the bathroom. And so I did. And I dragged myself across the floor, I went to the bathroom. And then if you've ever been in the older hospital rooms, there wasn't a focus on like giving you a view.
Yeah.
So it kind of crawled to the window. I was looking out the window. I was in Philadelphia. I remember the cityscape, and the rain was hitting the window. And I just remember thinking, well, I've got this thing with my body. And, you know, I've sort of like come to an understanding of mortality at a super young age, at 13. And I just decided, well, I don't know how long I'm going to be here, so I'm going to do what I want to do. Like, I'm going to do what I'm passionate about. And that was the deciding moment. And then
Wow.
I never thought about it again. But up until then, I was like, you know, it's like any kid. I want to be an oceanographer. I want to be a race car driver, you know, like that kind of stuff. But after that moment, that was it. It was like the flip the switch, and I stayed on that path. And the second thing that came alongside of that was really important is that I had my first really great mentor, teacher, and ultimately good friend. And that was just dumb luck. They had hired him at the school they went to. They had a tremendous art program at that school. It was a very academic school, but they had a fantastic performing arts and visual arts, which is really unusual. And so I went to this teacher and I said, I've made this decision. This is what I'm going to do with my life, and help me, basically, you know, tell me everything you know. And so he did. And I spent 4 years, his name's Terry Newitt, and I spent 4 years in a very traditional, old school mentorship. So I learned every day. I probably spent 4 to 6 hours in the art department every day. I was there before school, I was there after school. By the time I was a senior, there were no more classes for me to take, so they just called it AP. It was just me. It was like, I'm the only guy that has taken everything here twice, you know, so. And that was really, really, it was fortuitous, because by the time I got to college, to Pratt, I had already learned color theory, drawing. Like I already had all the skills. So when I went to college, I didn't have to focus on everything. I sort of took an inventory of myself as an artist and said, where am I lacking? And I felt like the place I was lacking the most was drawing. So I put a lot of effort into draftsmanship and drawing during my time at Pratt, because I didn't have a lot of that. I went to Catholic school, so you can't draw naked people in Catholic school. They don't let you. So you can only draw so many still lifes. You know, you got to draw people. So I spent a lot of time learning the anatomy and all that sort of thing, and really focused on my drawing. And also, I never had trouble coming up with ideas. So the conceptual part was easy for me. It was more the discipline of drawing. So by the time I got through Pratt, I felt pretty confident about my drawing skills, but in hindsight, I would say it really took me another close to 10 years to really master it, drawing, and that's the kind of mastery that only comes from doing something over and over and all day, and you know, just becoming immersed in it. And I can remember pretty clearly, like sometime around my 30th, it was like it just clicked together, and I was like, now I know, and it's like.
Now you know your type of style, or now you know?
I had the mastery.
Got it.
Like I had the hand, like where I could draw anything at any scale, in any style, any material. It didn't matter. You know,
That's
like
great.
you could hand me a spray can. You know, I need a picture of a donkey like Pablo Picasso, and I'd be like, what period of his life, and I could do it. So it's like, and to get all that skill took a long time. It took 30 years.
That's amazing.
Basically, but I didn't think of it when I started. I wasn't like, oh, this is going to take 30 years.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things that just, it's it's more of a confidence thing than it is the actual skill.
Yeah.
Like I knew I could draw before that. Like I said, when I graduated college, I felt very competent. But yeah, it just went to next level, and it just kept getting better. And then it just sort of breached some point.
Is that when you really felt like, so you've done the poster for the Olympic Games. You did an international campaign for Absolute Vodka. We worked on the project for Taco Bell. And you've done some amazing projects. So what is it that you feel like, what was that turning point? How did you even get to that level?
The larger projects?
Yes.
Well, I started like everybody. It's like that Steve Martin joke. I started out as a child, you know, like, but it's like, I started out with, so when I went to art school, I knew I was going to be an artist. I went to art school. I specifically chose illustration as a discipline over fine art. And the main reason for that was because the people in the communication design department at Pratt could articulate how to make a living, which was really important to me because I didn't want to be something else. It wasn't like I want to go to art school. That wasn't the end. That was like somewhere in the middle for me. So I really thought about it, and the fine art in those days, it was like the 80s, they were sort of like really in love with non-figurative work, and it was almost like to do anything commercial was like kind of looked down on. It's like, you know, you're not doing it just for passion, you're doing it for a client. And illustration didn't have that approach. Their approach was like find clients and get work. And so I was like, well, that's very entrepreneurial. My mom's entrepreneurial. So I was like, I can figure this pathway out because it's only on me. I don't have support, but I also don't have anybody holding me back. So I was like, this is my pathway. So I went that way and started working for like book covers, magazines, posters, all sorts of stuff. And that just came from Shoe Leather Express. I lived in New York City, and so it's as you know, it's very expensive to live there. So, and I think all New Yorkers are like this. They could tell you how much it costs them to live a day or hour, because it's just that expensive. And so I wanted to take advantage of the amount of, I had a certain amount of time during the day, so I figured like I can always work on art at night, but I need to go see people during the day. So I would call. This is before email and all that stuff, and so I would call people, and I got really good at getting people to say yes to see me in person, because I knew if I could see them in person, I had a shot. I just had to get through the door. And so I would see 4 to 8 people a day, and I did that for years and years and years. It got to a point at one point. Well, I was here in Orlando and did the first big project for Disney. Which was a poster of Mickey Mouse. And I picked Mickey Mouse on purpose because it's a direct comparison to, say, Lichtenstein or Herring or other artists that have done the mouse. And that sort of changed my compass a little bit, my true north a little bit, because I started thinking about, I want to be more closer to this style of an artist or this pathway of an artist than an illustrator. And that means like you kind of have to become your own brand and all that sort of thing, which I was versed in from art school. But it was really just knocking on doors. That's how it got started. And then, and as you do it, it's like anything else. You do it 8 times a day, you get really good at it, and then work will come in, and I would do, it was mostly like editorial illustrations and book covers, like I said, a few album covers and stuff. And it paid well enough to get you going. And then the further I went down that pathway, the further I realized, well, there are things I really like about working for clients. It's super challenging because you have to have a lot of different sort of points of view. Not only your work, but like who's the client, what's this brand about, what problem are they trying to solve? And really, to me, the only difference between, say, fine art and illustration is it's not in the technique or the artistry or even the artist. It's really in, you're creating a piece of communication for a specific purpose when you're doing illustration. So you want the people to come away from the work with a specific feeling or something very specific. And in fine art, that's not necessarily the end goal. The end goal could be nothing. It could be just you're doing it for yourself, right? Yeah. So I think that's the really only difference I saw from my point of view where I was sitting. So I thought, well, this is a very easy place to be sort of, I know this world really well. I'm doing well in this world. This world, this fine art world, I haven't really gotten into yet. But I know I can leverage the credibility of these projects because it's when you're taking a chance on a young artist or a young actor or somebody, if there's no proof points, it's hard to know. Like, because as the art director or creative director, like you're taking the chance, like that person's going to deliver the work and it's going to be good and all that. And so I think having all of that the illustration in the early part really helped me to create not only a body of work, but a consistency in delivery. And I think that was one of the things that really helped me along. You know?
One of the key things you taught me that time was feedback, how to take feedback. Every time, so you did some illustrations, some drawings for us with some ideas.
Yep.
And then we gave you feedback on those drawings of what we like, and you explained the drawings to us.
Right, little design document and all that.
Exactly, which was amazing. And then we gave you feedback on like some things that, exactly to your point, some messaging that we wanted to come across, some minor modifications. And the way that you took that feedback was that you were excited. And that was the one piece that was so different from all the artists that we were working with, from just people that we worked with in general, just how to take that constructive criticism, feedback, but it wasn't even criticism. It was just, hey, can you modify this because of these reasons? And you were excited about it. And you came back and you were like, well, I thought about what you said, which led to, you know, this idea and this, so here's a couple options. And I thought it was so great because it wasn't about how your one perspective. You were excited to bring in different perspectives and different points of view and how in taking that. And it literally taught me how to take feedback throughout the rest of my career.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
Yeah, I mean, because it was really helpful. Like, I get excited now when I hear feedback because it's a different perspective than I never saw before. And that was one of the key things that I think that in you explaining your story, in the direction that, you know, you're taking with your art, it's also being able to be open to how people interpret.
That's another key difference between illustrative work and fine art. Like, fine art, there's not generally, some people are collaborative, but like as an artist, I'm not collaborative. I just make my stuff, right? But like as an illustrator, when I'm sitting in that seat and thinking about that, the work itself is collaborative, like just by its nature. Either you're illustrating a product or you're illustrating a narrative of some kind. So you already have a kernel, you're starting with this collaborative part right out of the gate. And I think one of the things that art schools do really well is teach you how to solve problems in the broadest sense. And they also teach you how to take criticism because you spend a lot of time being critiqued and you learn how to take value away from that. Like it takes a while. It's an ego thing for a while where you're like, oh man, you know, sometimes you're putting that thing up on the wall and you're like, oh God, you know, I'm fearing the critique. And sometimes you're like, I think I nailed it this time. And you just sort of, you find your way through that, I think. But I found that collaboration is like, it's so fun, first of all. I mean, it's like the funnest thing. And I think it drives you in directions that you wouldn't ordinarily go. Like, I remember when I got the call from you to work on the Taco Bell stuff, it was like I had just finished Fast Food Nation, which was like the craziest thing to get a call a week later. Like you just finished the book and you're like, wow, that's weird happenstance. But you know, it's like you have your reasons for doing the project and I have mine. Mine were like, I think I can get artwork in front of people who ordinarily don't go to galleries or museums.
Yes.
And I was like, this is why I'm doing it. Like this is my why. Yes, it's money. Yes, it's ego. It's all that stuff. But it's like, if these people can see art, this could change one person's life. And if that happens, wow, what's the value in that to me?
Yeah,
you know?
and 25 years later, we just saw a post from a guy, literally, and he posted a picture how, like, just happenstance on his social media, how the Taco Bell artwork influenced him to become an artist.
It's crazy. And I get a lot of those, I get a lot of messages. I mean,
it's amazing.
That's one of the things I love about social, because before it just would go, things go out into the world and you had no idea.
Yeah.
So all those years, I didn't know if it worked or not. It wasn't until 15 years when social came in that I started getting feedback.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my gosh, it actually worked, you know. But I just had a gut feeling like, I think this is the right move for me because I want to reach the widest audience I can reach. Yes. To me, that's like the goal.
And get them interested in art and educating them about art
100%.
and being curious about art and how it could be impact someone's life.
Yeah.
And I think and therapeutically, as
Yeah.
well. I mean, it helped you when you were in the hospital at a young age.
Yep.
And even when you got older. And, so fast forward to today, a couple years ago, you had a stroke.
Yeah.
And you lost a lot of mobility again.
Yeah. I could walk, and my speech came back quickly, but my motor skills were just gone, just gone. Couldn't hold a fork, couldn't hold a pencil, I couldn't, nothing. It was weird.
Couldn't hold a paintbrush.
No, and it was a weird feeling when that happened. I mean, it was, it's hard to articulate it, but it's I don't know, it's like walking in the wilderness or something. It's just, everything seems so strange, and everything that you once took for granted is now this monumental task. It's really weird. But it's, I'm a super positive kind of person, so it's pretty hard to get me down even with something like that. But I did have a lot of fear, thinking, oh my God, I spent all these years learning these skills and they're all gone. Like, God, how am I going to get back from this, So I go up and I had to do all my PT, which I took really seriously, and did it twice a day. Like, I was 2 hours a day doing PT because I wanted to get better. And slowly things were coming back, but art was the one I was really worried about. And so I would go upstairs at the time I had a studio on the top of my house, and I'd just try to draw. And I'd just be talking to myself like, you were a kid and you didn't know any better. Anyway, so I did that a bunch. Didn't have any really breakthrough moments, and I was really starting to get nervous where I was like, wow, I'm gonna have to think about like, what if I have to rebuild all these skills, and I really started tripping out in my head about that. And then, I don't know, the next day I woke up and I just was thinking about my journey to that point, and I was like, you know what? It's been really fun the whole way. If I have to relearn these skills, F it, I'm gonna do it. I enjoyed it the first time, I'll do it again. And that'll take me to whatever age, and it'll be what it is, And I think once I let go, it's like all the skills came right back.
Wow.
Like 2 days later, it was like just a flood. And my other regular skills were harder to get back in some ways, like regular motor skills, but like that stuff came through in a flood right away. And once that happened, I was like, okay, we're good to go. Like, if I have to eat with my hands the rest of my life, I will,
Yeah.
If I can't use chopsticks or something, I can survive that.
Yeah.
And I'm still alive.
And your artwork now, I feel as though is even stronger, and it's changed.
It's changed a lot. Very
different in a beautiful way.
Thanks.
I mean, it really.
It's interesting you say that, because I can see it.
Yeah.
I can really see it, and I can see it even more now since I did the show last summer. Like, the work has changed a lot. Like, that's the beautiful thing about being a creative, is that the work is always changing, and your relationship to the work is changing, and it's a very rewarding way to spend your time. I mean, it can be very lonely because you work alone a lot, and that's why the collaborations are so fun.
Yeah.
But like, it's because the normal cycle is make a bunch of work by yourself, and then you have an opening, and you try not to be like agoraphobic because you've been by yourself for a year, and then all of a sudden you have all these people in your face. It's a very strange paradigm, and so but having those collaborations is really interesting. It pushes you to different topics and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I think I have this blood condition, and it's just what it is. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what causes it. We haven't got to the bottom of it yet, but maybe they'll figure out before I keel over. But whatever.
But with that said, I think a lot of your strengths are really just about mindset. How you're able to really pivot, a negative mindset, a negative situation, and make it positive. Like, what is it that you do, or do you think that you recognize that you do? I think one time you told me that you create these force fields, kind of like visual tool.
Yeah.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
The first thing about me is I've always been tremendously positive as a little kid. That's part of my personality, so I don't have to work super hard to be positive, because I'm just naturally positive. But I found, I went through a period of time where there were people in my life that didn't really care about me, and kind of got me derailed. And after that, in hindsight, thinking about it, it's like, well, how do I keep those people out of my life? Like, how do I not attract that? And if I see that, how do I deal with it? And I'm a very polite person. I'm not, I'm not going to push somebody out of the room. But it's like, how do I clear that away from me? And I started thinking, more about my positivity, like I sort of visualize it as like a force field around me. And then when somebody's really negative comes my way, I just throw a massive amount of positive energy their way. And usually they just scatter because they don't like it.
Yeah.
You know, and or it's annoying probably. You know, if you're trying to really get somebody down and they just get happier, it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it's annoying.
Yeah.
This guy's annoying. So I use that. I think about that a lot, and I think about it almost like a bubble, and I'm the one that gets to choose who comes into the bubble.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
Yeah.
like it's really empowered my relationships. I feel like I have better, stronger relationships, and I feel like I just put up with a lot less shit.
Yeah.
You know, because I just won't anymore. You
Yes.
know, like I know what it does to me as a person, and I just can't allow it. So it's and that was a hard lesson to learn. I mean, talk about learning something the hard way, but like since then, man, I haven't had hardly any problems because it's just I think that people that are that are negative, generally speaking, I find that they're trying to have an impact outside of themselves usually, and if you just deny them that, they just move on to the next topic because they realize they can't get a foothold, you know. And
Yeah.
I think there's those personalities that thrive off of that, and you just have to avoid them. You
Yes.
know? And there's some you can't avoid, like if you work for somebody who's like that, you know, or your family member that's like that, it's much more complicated. But my simple force field works for me, you know. And I'm not a complex. I mean, I am, but I'm not like philosophically complex about it. It's just simple, like good energy. And that's it.
Yeah,
It's
no,
not-
you
it's not
you
super
have a
complicated.
lot of complexity
Yeah.
with the way you look at things. Well, I look at it this way. I feel like that you can see a big picture,
Yeah.
and then you can break it down into the most fundamental pieces, and then you can rebuild it back up. And I feel like that your art has those layers
Like deconstruction,
of,
construction.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting. Yeah, I guess that seems true to me. That seems pretty true. I think like, for me, like the big thing that's been like the cornerstone that keeps me going, because a career in the arts is not easy. It's difficult. Every career is difficult, but like when you want to reach a high level of attainment, you have to work really hard. That part's not a mystery. Yes, there's a little luck, but if you're disciplined and you're after it every day, it'll arrive eventually. And if not, you're still doing what you love to do at the level you want to do it.
How do you not get discouraged?
I mean, I have my moments, you know, but I think for me, when I'm discouraged, like I just dive back into the discipline of making stuff, because that's when I strip everything away. That's what I do, right? I create stuff, visuals and sculptures and stuff. And I think it's sort of like the same. A lot of people never start to paint or write because the blank page, the blank canvas is really intimidating.
Yes.
And so I think like the easiest way to get around that is just make that first mark on the page, and you're off to the races. Like it's you have to have the courage to just make that first mark and not worry about whether it's right or wrong or colored. It doesn't matter.
And
it's
then
like,
move to the next thing, and
just
then
get to
move
the
on
next,
to the next
just
one.
keep going.
And yeah.
And if you hit a dead end there, just focus your attention over here, over there. So like, if you walked into my studio, you would see multiple, like right now there's 3 easels, 3 different paintings in different states of completion. There's sketchbooks full of stuff. So I can always turn and move my attention to something that I'm not having a block. Mm-hmm. And that block it's an illusion anyway. It's inside of you, but it's really an illusion because you know how to get to the end of it. It's just that, you know, making paintings is about, or drawings or anything that's visual, is about making one good decision after another. And sometimes you're not sure what the next decision is, so you just pause for them, take a beat. I don't know, should it be blue or should it be green or is it whatever? And you just kind of think about it and just let it roll around in your head for a while.
There's so many parallels with just life and decisions that you make and how we face them and how we can move on from them.
Yeah.
I think that's important. Like if you
Yeah.
do have a block, just like don't force it, just pivot into looking at something different.
I think so. I mean, for me, like I also have that type of personality that I can run through the brick wall. You know, I did that a lot for many years, but like I think with age comes just a tiny bit of wisdom where I'm like, how about I walk around it this time and not go through it? You know, how about I pole vault over it?
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah.
So I think that's just age. You
Yeah.
know, that's just age. But I think like I think you're right, and I think that when you have that difficult scenario, I find, you know, if you abstract what I'm doing as an artist, you can apply it to anything. So like in another interview, I once said, like, I never have imposter syndrome because I have appreciation for the beginner's mind, you know. So I don't care if I know everything. It doesn't matter. I know in some buckets I have very full buckets, and other buckets are empty. So what?
But you're enjoying the journey.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the learning
process.
And well, it's funny you say that, because that's one of the things I learned about my painting is I took a break in 09, 010, and I cataloged all the work I had created to that point, which I'd never done. And it was really interesting because it took about 9 months maybe to do it, because I had a lot of stuff, tons of drawings and stuff. And one of the great takeaways I had from that is that I really like the process much more than the final result.
Interesting.
Like that was the distillation where I was like, I'm in love with the process. Like, I'm not in love with, that's why I never feel that, you know, because people always ask, oh, do you feel a sense of attachment to the work? It's like, none. Like, I'm happy somebody else wants it because I'm going to just keep making stuff.
That's great.
I mean, so it has to go somewhere. It can't all stay with me. And secondly, because, yeah, it's the process. And also when people ask me, are there pieces that are more meaningful or less to me? The only pieces that are more meaningful to me are pieces that I've created and I can't figure out how I did one or many things in the piece. Mm-hmm. So it's still teaching me something, because I did a bunch of stuff that was subconscious. You know, because you're going, when you're making art, you're going between subconscious and conscious all the time, right? You go into flow state and all that. And it's like, I realized, I can be happy just in the process. I don't have to have the finished thing. And that's that was a big revelation for me, because I was trained, and you think, I was trained in school, but you also think about, you don't think about the hours and hours that the artist spent, you just see the thing on the wall.
Yeah.
So you're trained to make that thing on the wall as good as it can be, right?
Yeah.
But the enjoyment was way before that for me, which is a weird, like,
no.
At a big opening, I'm happy and it's fun, but it's nothing like being in the studio. You know, it's like, the studio is like, that's my jam. Like, I'm awesome. So happy being in there. And all the other stuff I just have to do because it's part of the job. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's not my favorite thing to, like, I don't mind talking in public and stuff like that, you know. And I'm pretty gregarious and outgoing, but like it's a lot of intensity. You have 200 people or more that are like on you when you've been by yourself for years.
Yes.
It's a really strange feeling, but and it's lovely to have the attention, obviously, but it's also frightening.
Yeah.
You know, because you're just not, you know, you're not seeing it.
You're not used to it.
You're not used to it.
And so at one point in your life, you had a moment where you started to work in the business career, like more focus on that. And one of the things that Terry Davenport, when we were working on the Taco Bell project with Yum Brands, was he noticed that you were a businessman. He was like, Mark not only is an amazing artist, but he also can see the big picture and how it's all tying together from the art, but then also the music and the experience for the person overall when they're going through, you know, having that experience at the Taco Bell.
Yeah.
What is that experience? What are those moments, you know, so on and so forth. And then at one point in your life, you were focusing more on the business side of things. How do you feel as though that your work in art, in the art industry, really helped you in the boardroom and in having a business mindset as well?
That's a great question. I think that I like commerce, you know. And again, it kind of gets back to, I didn't want to do anything else but be an artist. So it's like, well, what does that mean? It means like you have to be conversant in business because you got to people have to hire you. Have to, but as I found that I had this trait where the same thing that happened with us in Taco Bell, I did with Absolute, where like I did my Absolute campaign and they asked me to come back and art direct like 3 or 4 campaigns because you're so easy to work with and you get to. So I had that in my mind, and when I transitioned in, when I sort of closed up shop publicly, because I took like 10 years off of exhibiting and all that stuff, I still made all my art in my studio constantly, but I had the beginner's mindset, so I didn't have fear of failure. I'd been in a lot of boardrooms as a freelancer doing projects like with you and with other people. So I knew the language. I have an MBA, so it's not like I don't know anything about it. But so I sort of feel like, but what really drove me there was I had the confidence from drawing, because like the mastery of that one skill gave me all the confidence I need for the rest of my life, because it was so difficult to learn. So like learning how to read a P&L, or it's not as hard as learning how to draw. It's just that simple, you know? So I sort of applied it that way.
Because people think that people that want to be artists are just naturally good artists, that they know how to draw. And that's encouraging that you, I mean, especially at your level and the amazing work that you create, that you had to discipline yourself to really get to that level of mastery.
Oh yeah.
And then
same thing
that
in business.
in and of itself, just that one, and it's not just, but you know, that one tool, you recognize, if I can do this, then I know that I can learn other
stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And I think that was the core of my confidence, right? But I also found that like creatives are really valuable because they think so differently than anybody else. Mm-hmm. And so if you put me on the last full-time job I was working, I was the VP of a IT consulting company. I know very little about IT, like shockingly little, but I know people, and I know the fundamentals of business and all that stuff. So that never changes, and I know how to sell.
Yeah.
So having those, I had those skills, like knocking on doors for 2.5 years. Like you get pretty good at talking up whatever you need to talk up. So like in that situation, I felt like I was a really big asset, because we had 150 people or however many. The vast majority were engineers, programmers and such. So they have a certain way that they think, you know, and I had a totally different way that I think. And so leadership was also made up of the same type of personalities, and I was the sole creative in the company, basically, maybe two other people. And that different perspective is really valuable, because you can see what's not there.
Yes.
Right. So
that's why I love bouncing ideas off of you.
Yeah.
Like it just being like, help me, if you know, getting into a bind, like, help me think through this and from a different perspective.
Yeah, it's really important, and I saw that in. I mean, it was kind of funny because at first it was like we could have got anybody, but we got this artist, you know, like it was like the joke, you know, and then after time it was not a joke anymore, because we were killing it, you know, and it was part of the reason we were killing it is because we were doing different things that we hadn't tried, you know, and it was the same in the gig before that. You know, that's when that's where the force field really came in handy in that job. But all those things, I think being able to see what's not there, sometimes you see the obvious thing that nobody sees. It's really interesting. You just look at it differently. It's a very cool way to see the world. And I think, like getting back to Pratt, the one thing I took away, I have a great friend, Mark Gallagher, who runs a branding company in Boston, and it's like one of the things he and I were talking about after graduating is like, we feel like the main takeaway is we learn to solve problems, and the hardest way to solve the problem is to make a painting when you think about it.
Wow.
Right? That's a really complicated way to solve a problem. So like to solve a business problem, not really as complicated sometimes more, you know, but like it's hard to paint a painting. It's not as easy as it thinks. It's like if it was easy to write a song, everybody would do it, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of the way I feel. That's the value I feel I had, you know, aside from like just regular business skills. And I love people, you know. So it's like I love being around people, and I like chatting with people, and that's kind of a superpower, because not everybody has that, you know, where you're just you just like people. You know?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it really is about how it's your perspective. And you say, well, I'm just a happy person. I'm not choosing to be happy. But I do feel as though that it is a choice to be happy.
Oh, no, definitely. It's definitely a choice. I mean, I'm innately sort of oriented that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to choose it. You can choose misery.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We know those people,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I mean,
and I think, and that sort of becomes the pruning shear, right? Where you're just like, these people need to go because I can't. I can see they're having a negative impact on me or whatever, or on the situation. And I think it gets trickier in business because you don't always have that quick exit.
Yes.
And you have to just work through it.
Yep.
And you can be dealing with a lot, you know, unresolved stuff that people are bringing to work every day. So, yeah, that's kind of that's an interesting thought about like the POV.
Yeah.
Like switching to POV.
And for yourself, but also for others.
Yeah.
And you had to reprogram your brain.
I did.
And in order for you to teach yourself how to become, to evolve on a number of occasions. And I think that it's amazing, no matter what, you just know you have that confidence and you're stepping into that role. And it's really, really powerful.
Thanks. Yeah. I like the unknown. I think that's a really big differentiator between like a creative and somebody else. Like I love the unknown. Like when somebody says, "We've never done this before."
Scares the shit out of me.
Great, let's go. I'm like the first one on the jet. Let's go. We've never done it. Let's
give
do
me
it.
a plan. It can change, but like I want some structure. Yeah. You're
so
like, why?
I don't. I have no fear of the unknown. It's like because the unknown is the problem, right?
Yeah.
And also change is constant. We know that. So it's like, okay, everything's going to keep changing. So I have to be adaptive. In the back of your head, you're thinking, I've got to be adaptive to whatever's happening. And aside from external things like health that you have some control over, but not complete control over. You just it's like you learn the stuff that you can influence and not.
Yeah.
How can I impact this positively? Like with health, it's like, okay, I need to step up the exercise to every day of the week. It's got to be 2 times a day. It's got it's like and then you just the discipline to do it.
Yeah. Well, and it's like we'll be driving and be like, oh, it's like, why wouldn't they just, paint that? Or why wouldn't they? Wouldn't that be great if they had a great mural of something there? And it's all those different way of going through life and looking at what if possibilities.
Yeah.
And that I think that being open to that unknown of exploring possibilities is really cool and inspiring. Every time I talk to you, I'm like, oh yes, then we could go this way or this way or that way. And
I think that's the funnest part of the problem solving, right? Where you haven't committed to a direction or process. You're just ideating. That's my favorite part, And then you can go, okay, I came up with these possible pathways, and then the regular brains can come in and be like, dude, we can't do that. It's going to cost a fortune, or we can't do that. That's insane.
The regular brains.
That don't see this crazy whatever I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then okay, we can temper it. Okay, well, maybe we can't do that, but let's pull back here and go that way or whatever it is. And you just adjust the idea and make it work. I think that's really, it's fun. I would also say that like that kind of success, if you will, is as interesting and fulfilling as my primary interest painting. Like to turn that thing around or make the corner, or like in case of business, like recover a business from the edge of bankruptcy. Like it's just
fun.
It's fun. I don't know why. It's like if it goes out of business, it goes out of business. It's like I can influence this part of it. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, well, I can think of one business that we got into it, and then we realized we had like 40 something days of cash on hand. And I didn't know that prior to getting into the position. And obviously that's scary, frightening place to be, right? Because you've got a whole bunch of people whose livelihoods, their children, et cetera, and your job is to turn it around. It's like, that's a lot of pressure. But once you get it rolling, it's exciting, because then you're just like, okay, we got this little nugget and this little, hey, have you guys tried to go international yet? No? Okay, let's do that, there might be a market there. And so whatever it is.
Exploring possibilities.
That's it. And just keeping your mind open to be like, what have we done that doesn't work? What have we done that works? And what have we not tried? And then just like make columns and do it. Just do it one after another. So I think that part, the collaborative part of that I really like. That's the fun part of business, is the collaborative part, I think. And I think successes and failures, I never stayed anywhere so long that I had like a crew of people that I stay tight with forever.
Yeah.
I'm more of a solo operator. Like I don't like people reporting to me. I don't like to do performance reviews. I hate all that stuff. Like that's not what I'm good at. And honestly, and I told the people that I work for, I said, you're legitimately wasting my time with that, because I can go make you more money. And wouldn't you rather that than like a performance review? Like seriously. Come on. I remember. I'm a baller.
Let's just go. Let's just move on.
Yeah. Let's go make some money, man. So I got cut a lot of slack because of that, and also because I can perform.
Yeah.
So I get cut a lot of slack. But I remember I had this guy reporting to me. He's so nice, such a nice guy. I really like him. And I called him, and it was time to do the performance review. They gave me him and somebody else because I couldn't have nobody under me for some reason. And so I call him, and I'm like, hey man, it's time for the performance review. And he's like, okay. And he was a very mercurial, kind of dude. You know, he had everything all set up, and I said, okay. I was like, give me your presentation. He finished whatever presentation he had for me, and I said, all right, here's the deal. I'm going to give you 15 grand more a year. I'm not going to fill out any paperwork. You fill it out, and we'll do this again in a year. And he was like, what did you say? I was like, yeah, we're done, man. You get a raise.
Yeah,
you're doing great.
Yeah.
And he was like, I was so nervous, and I was like, yeah, I had to put you through all of the work because I'm not going to do it. You know, you're going to do the work. It's about you, not me. And so we had a funny exchange over that, and then he filled out all the paperwork and sent it.
That's good. Yeah. That's great.
I'll sign it.
And it's great when you're working with the right people.
It makes a huge difference.
It's everything.
It does. It makes and their attitude makes a huge difference. Like I've worked with people who've been egomaniacs, maniacal egomaniacs. I've worked with people, all kinds of people, you know, and you just kind of have to suss it out and figure out like how can I make this work?
Yeah.
Like I can't change that person.
No.
I'm not going to invest my time in that. So how can I work around? How can I get them excited about what I'm doing? Like what are the triggers that are going to get them engaged in what I'm doing? Is usually what I look for. And honestly, it's easy in business because if you make everybody more money, everybody happy. Right? That's an easy solution, you know?
Yes.
So, but yeah, I like all that stuff. It's all really fun.
Yeah.
I like the challenges, and I think I really love the unknown. I know that's a lot of people don't like the unknown, but I really love the unknown because it's full of possibilities.
And I think that's where, you know, you've just been wanted to have you on the podcast because you're so inspiring.
Oh, thanks.
And you're such a peak performer and on so many different fronts and so many different levels and just how you live your life and your mindset and how you've continued to grow and how you've continued to just evolve over the years into just being a really amazing human and what you do professionally and personally. And I think that, you know, your mindset and how you look at things and how you recognize unhealthy behaviors and you literally remove yourself from those situations.
Well, that's me at this age, right?
Yeah.
But like me at 20, 30, you know, like it took a while to get this enlightenment, you know, and a lot of mistakes and a lot of things I'm not proud of. But there are kernels and there are things that I'm really proud of, and it's like those things keep going and this other stuff stays. You know, it's almost like, you know what I mean? You just call the thing every once in a while.
When you found yourself in those situations, how did you end up trying to pivot? Was it just like do you think that do you do something like a technique to recognize, or do you just completely pivot once you do?
You mean when I hit like some sort of
like obstacle?
When I hit an obstacle, I usually I do a lot of thinking. Like I'm really big on doing a lot of thought before action. So I walk on the beach every morning. So I'll take like whatever the challenge is and just think about it for an hour, just walking, and just let every idea flow through. And every once in a while, boom! Oh, I know how to solve that now, or I know how to deal with that. It's a form of meditation. Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, it's this person. And when I go to the beach, I don't take my phone. I don't take anything, which sometimes is a problem because you have an idea and you can't write it down. But you know, it is what it is. I always think if it's a good idea, I'll remember it. You know. Yeah. And but that's one place I do it, and I would say the other place is I love a good whiteboard for solving problems.
I love a good whiteboard.
I love it. I do. I love a good whiteboard because it's like I feel like that helps me visualize. I'm obviously very visual. Yeah. So it's like I can see the whole. That's how you can map out everything. I know you do the same, and it's like it's so helpful for me. Like it really gets me organized. It keeps me on target, and it helps me ideate and make adjustments and all that kind of stuff. So I'm a big fan of that, and I think that's probably because I'm a visual artist to start with. So as soon as I get that little pen in my hand,
I look at it it's like journaling. It's like a form of thinking.
100%. And it's like thinking out loud.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I talk to myself. I think out loud all the time. I'm sure that my neighbors where I have my studio, I'm sure they think I'm bad shit because I'm always walking around talking to myself. But I'm the only one in the studio, so it's like I forget to stop when I walk outside.
Well, I heard a study one time where they put a bunch of people in a dark room, and like where they couldn't see anything, and it was for like 24 hours or something like that. Really? Wow. And people were losing their minds at a short period of time. And the one guy that didn't lose his mind was someone that was just talking to himself. Like,
that's
oh,
really
I can
interesting.
feel this chair. I can feel the wall. I am relaxed right now. And literally was talking to himself through the whole time. And that technique is now used with, you know, when anyone's having anxiety or, you know,
That's
like
interesting.
losing their sense of self and any,
Yeah.
with them talking to themselves, it grounds them, it makes them present, and
Yeah.
it helps them start to manifest whatever it is that state of mind that they're verbalizing,
Yeah.
that to calm their nervous system. So it's really interesting that you
that
say
is-
that.
Well, you touched on something there, like manifesting. Like I'm a big believer in that. So like I really think about what I want to do next all the time. What's my next step? And I'm talking through it mostly when I'm walking on the beach, and that's where I think, okay, this year these are the things I want. I want to do this, interpersonal, this, and this, and then and it's like it gives me a focus for the year, and then I keep iterating it over the course of the year, you know.
And do you write down those goals and then keep checking them?
No, I don't have to.
Yeah.
No, because I just remember and I don't make too many goals for a year, so they might be kind of macro.
Yeah.
With stuff underneath them, right? So it might be 3 things with a couple things underneath, or it might just be 3 things for the whole year. I mean, at this stage of things, I have the good fortune to be able to sort of go at whatever pace I want to go. So it just depends. Like sometimes I want to knock this out in 6 months or 3 months, and sometimes it's like, well, in 26 it would be nice if these 2 things happen. But I always think about it not as like a New Year's Eve thing, but like I'm always thinking about it, because I feel like if you're not thinking about where you want to be, you're not going to get there.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're not thinking like, hey, when you get there, it's like you can't get there and go, oh, what do I do now? You know, like, you know what I mean?
No, you're like, oh wait, and actually the target has moved.
Exactly. It's like the sophomore album, a band that comes out with a killer first album, and that second album they can't quite get to that first album.
Yeah.
It's like you weren't ready for the second album.
Yeah, yeah.
You were only ready for the first, right? And so, especially the way they used to make records, where they really had to churn. So it's like so in that case, you get only the high performers can make it through. And I think those people probably have a vision of where they want to be way in the future. You know, they're not thinking about tomorrow. They're thinking about next year or the year after that, 5 years from 10 years from now.
Yeah.
And I think that's helpful. And I think if you don't do it naturally, it's good to do that. Like make it a discipline of your.
Yeah.
At least once a year, you should do it.
Yeah.
So you make sure you're on track. You know, but I think, and it's nice that that's sort of part of our culture where people do that once a year. But there's real value in that.
Yeah.
And there's also real value if you're on the wrong track, and you realize it. Then that you've given the power to yourself to change the direction, or make it the right path, or at least find something in that wrong path that's valuable that'll get you to wherever you want to go next. You know, so I think that's kind of constantly examining that's important, without tripping out on it. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, like,
yeah.
I mean, some people can get in like thought loop, but I think it's you need to check in with yourself. Am I on the right path? I'm not sure. Let's find out. You know.
Yes.
What was on my list? You
Yeah.
know? I think there's real value in that, and I also think I can't overstate how important discipline is. Like, I mean, a lot of people, people always ask me, oh, you're an artist and you've done all these things. It's like, well, yes, but most artists, by and large, are pretty lazy. Not all of them, but a lot of them are very lazy, and are not pushing really hard.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, well, that's
And you
why
get up every morning and you draw.
every day.
Every day.
I'm in the studio every single day of the year. 7 days a week. I never think about. I don't go a specific time. Some might go in the mornings. It's whenever it strikes me. Sometimes I wake up 5 a.m. I've got 500 things on my mind. I just jet over to the studio and get to work.
That's awesome.
Sometimes it's middle of the night, you know, and sometimes it's regular daylight hours. You know, it's just as I get older, it's more daylight hours and less like super nighttime stuff. But I kind of get up earlier and go to bed earlier now.
Yeah,
Just shifted back.
That's what they
shifted back a few years.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think for a creative, like my brother and I used to talk. My brother's a writer. And we used to always talk about like if you do the thing that you say you are that thing, right? So it's like if every day you get up and you make art, you're an artist.
Yeah.
Whether it gets shown in a gallery or if it just gets hung on the fridge,
Yeah.
you know, you're that's what you're doing. That's what you are, right? So I always subscribe to that theory. So it's like, you can't be, well, you know, I'm a I'm a financial person and I'm an artist. It's just like, you have to focus on something, you know?
Yeah.
There's few people that can do a lot of different things, but like even when I was really immersed in the business world, as soon as that doorway closed, at the end of the day, I was in the studio.
Yeah.
And I was in the studio all night, painting and drawing, doing the thing I always do. I was drawn from life and doing all the things I always do. And not for any reason except for my own personal satisfaction. And I did that for 10 years, basically. And didn't show work, didn't have gallery shows. I didn't need it for my ego. I wasn't doing it for my ego at that point, and I didn't need it for my self-worth or any of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, it was so secure in my being.
Yeah.
I could do other things without like letting go of it. But if I'd done that
like
early in my
therapy,
career,
I feel like, for you, because you've got to get it out.
Oh,
I
no.
mean,
Yeah,
you
no
know,
doubt.
whatever it is that's out. And I think that a lot of people, one of the other things that, you know, reasons people that we're talking to and what it is that they do or don't, like being able to just have an outlet, like some kind of outlet form that enables them to,
it's really,
like, really have an outlet of some sort. And you're doing a lot of them. You're with the art, but then with the meditation and being able to process the thinking, you know, even just identifying goals and setting them. I mean, these are all individual tools that I think enable you to reach that level of success, you know, with your artistry, but then also with business, and because you're constantly learning and expanding.
maybe part of that is like, as a creative, you're constantly thinking about the next thing you're going to make. So you're never, it's very infrequent that I'm in the moment of the painting, I'm in the flow state, I make this painting, but when it's made, I'm already on the next thing. I'm not sitting around patting myself on the back. Now I don't even know or not. It's like, I just like, I don't know, maybe it's good. I put it over and get on the next one. Don't worry about it, you know, and then eventually the curator will come in and figure out what's good, you know, kind of the now. But like, it's the making that's thrilling. It's exciting, and I think you're right. If you can get into a space where you have that thing you're passionate about, like, have you ever met a CEO that's not passionate about business, that doesn't work 20 hours a day? I haven't. You know, I haven't met one. Like, there's a reason that they're on the top of the food chain, and it's because they're apex, like, and they're going there no matter what. And it's difficult on relationships. There's all these negatives about it. But if you don't have that drive, there's 50 million other people that have that drive that are right behind you that want that job. So it's competitive, and you have to have it in you.
That's what I learned in New York. Like, I mean,
you better be ready to go to war every day.
Every day.
Every day.
And my boss's boss's boss said to me, you need to be fighting for your boss's job, because she's fighting for her boss's job. And that way, so that you need to be ready to take that position right in front of my boss. And I was like, this is the culture that we're in right now. Like, I mean, this is, you got to step up your game. And I remember thinking, like, wow, it's like so cutthroat, but at the same time, I mean, isn't that what we're all meant to be doing, is just thinking, okay, I'm where I am, what's going to push me to that next level? And it wasn't about fighting for that boss's job or trying to take their job, but it's about and that was the takeaway from me. Like, you could look at it as cutthroat, but how are you going to look at yourself as growing, expanding, you know, bettering yourself? And I wanted my boss, I was like, if that's the case, then let's pack up together and figure out how we can move along together.
There you go. Let's collaborate,
and
it's a lot easier to climb a mountain with a team.
Right? And that, you know, ended up becoming like how I really look at life now. Like, I don't want to do it on my own. I want a team. I want a collaboration. I want to move. I agree. With, you know, those that are like-minded around me, so that we can all be better versions of ourselves. That's a
really good insight. I remember I have a very, very, very dear friend of mine, and he started at an ad agency as a storyboard artist, and he's getting paid like $200 a day. And in 2.5 years, he was a senior creative director, making like $300,000 a year. And I asked him, I was like, how did you make those moves, man? Because he's not He's not the type of person you would see making that kind of move that fast. And he said every time there was a power vacuum, I just stepped into it. So he said anytime anybody got fired, I would just go to the other, I can do that job. And he said they just kept promoting me because his philosophy, this is New York, of course, too, and ad agencies, which is a whole other
as a whole,
thing.
yeah.
But his philosophy was like, power isn't given, it's taken, was like his mantra. So he was like, I'm just going to take what's mine.
Wow.
And that was his mentality, and right through the company, like that fast, because he really wanted to be in that, because he knew he had the creative chops to do that job.
Yeah.
You know, he had the confidence and everything. That's part of it too. But also just a lot of drive. You know, just naked drive to get in there. It's really interesting. It was really fun to watch.
Yeah. It is. It's been fun to watch with, you know, just talking to peak performers at the podcast.
I can only imagine.
You know, I mean, and how they, you know, but there definitely is a consistent theme, like all the things you're saying.
Yeah.
That, you know, peak performers, I mean, at the end of the day, it's about mindset. It's about how to look at obstacles and as an opportunity to really grow, and not to face them, but like maybe pivot or take a step back. Different ways to process emotions.
Ask for help.
Ask for help.
That's a big
Ask
right?
for help. Yes.
It's hard to remember that. Higher up you go on the ladder, it's harder.
Yeah.
And you have less people that you can rely. It seems really weird.
Yes.
It's counterintuitive, but as you get to the top of a corporate structure, there's less people you can talk to.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, 100%, because they don't want to know like all the stuff.
Well, I've had people that, you know, I've promoted into leadership who have flipped out when they got there, when they see what the real sausage making is going on. They're like, oh my God. And I'm like, you wanted it, here you are.
Yeah.
It's messy.
This is it. It's
real messy, and you got to be comfortable with all these moving pieces and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's something though. It's that culture is so different than the art culture, which is what makes it interesting, right? It's like,
it makes it fun though.
It does make it fun. Yeah, and I also, because I have the art thing, I love the challenge, and I also I don't. It's not that I don't take it seriously, but it's not all of me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like where it's like, there's me. I know who I am.
Yeah.
And there's this other guy.
Yeah.
That like comes to this job and does the thing, but I'm lucky in that way too, because I never take things personally. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just not personal.
Yeah.
Because my personal is my art.
Yeah.
Everything else is outside of that. So.
But even then, you're so open about the art. I mean, because you have so many pieces, and I think also because you know that you're at that level, and your art is so amazing.
Thank you.
And powerful, and I think that's where
but that collaborative thing about the sketches, you know, the whole purpose behind that was is to get an exchange of ideas going, right?
Yeah.
And I always felt like,
oh, great way to put it. It's an exchange of ideas. Yeah. It's not being critical in any way.
No.
It's just the exploration of ideas.
That's it. And it's also I've learned over the years that there might be a great idea in there. Why not find out? You know. Yeah. And I also feel, from a technical point of view, I sort of instituted before we worked together. I love to ideate and I love to collaborate. What I don't like to do is change something for a capricious or arbitrary reason.
Yeah.
And that, as an artist, that really annoys me. So what I did was I sort of front loaded the collaboration. So when we're in the sketch stages, I'll do as many sketches as you want, because it's not a heavy investment of time. It's a lot of thinking, but it's not a lot of time. So if I invest in this part of the process, I've let these people into the process that I'm collaborating with. I've gotten all the best ideas on the table, hopefully. And then by the time we're going to a painting, there's no mystery about what we're making, and we've made all these decisions. And on top of that, the people I'm working with, the clients I'm working with, feel comfortable because they're part of the process. It's not like this closed door, ta-da, it's done.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of like, it's almost like design thinking, right? Where you're ideating all the time, so that you don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
You kind of have a general direction. It's sort of the same idea, but just front loaded. So once I get the painting, since I'm a traditional artist and not a digital artist, like for me to change something, it's involved.
Yeah.
And I'm on deadlines and all that stuff. So usually what I tell everybody is like, we'll make any amount of changes in this part, but when we get to this part, it's done.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, we're not going to fuss with it unless there's something radically wrong with it, you
Yeah.
know, which generally doesn't happen because we've already sort of walked through it here, you know. So I did that out of self-preservation for the work, so it always looks the way I want it to look at the end. So I get the final, like, you know, like I would think of it like a chef, right? Like
Yeah,
a
that's a good way.
you
Yeah.
have a menu,
Yeah.
but you're not going to tell the chef, like, can you put the garnish on the left side or not the
Yeah,
right? You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
You've got to leave some up to the chef,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
because that's what you're paying for.
Yeah.
You're paying for that experience, right? So
great
it's kind of the same with a painting,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, it's those skills are all really important, and they can all be developed. That's the cool part. Like, if you're not good at one of, let's say, I'm not good at negotiating, or I'm not good at sales or
learn.
talking, you can learn it.
Yeah.
You can just learn it, man. And it's like, if you just say, okay, I have to learn this thing, and just get busy and learn
Yeah.
it. You know, I think that's when people are in that state where they can't, they're almost like self-paralyzed, I see that in people often, and it's like, just take the first step. Like,
Yeah.
just do something.
And get messy, and then it can be okay.
Do something, and
Yeah.
then you'll find a thread will appear, and you'll be like, oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
But if you don't make that first step, you're never going to find the thread.
Exactly.
And you just sit there in that loop and don't get anything done. You know?
Yeah.
I see that a lot, and it's just that one step. It's
This
really
has
weird.
been amazing.
Thank
I
you.
was like really excited
Me
to
too.
have you on the show and have you just talk about all the things that you've done and how you look at things, because that's one thing that you have definitely inspired me, is just your mindset.
Yeah.
And how your perspective of just life and how you problem solve for yourself and for others. So
Thanks.
it's really cool.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate our friendship a great deal, and I think it's one of the great things about having a long friendship is you get to see all these different facets of the person
Yeah.
over the years, and it's so interesting to watch people grow and change, and I find it fascinating. And you know, when you think about people that you've been friends with like for a long time, it's not a long list.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a long.
It's not.
And there's a reason that you're friends. And so, anyway, thanks for inviting me to come and talk and speak with you. I really enjoy it. I always enjoy our conversations, but it's nice to be here today.
Yes, thank you so much.